Hi, I'm Randy McLean, the president of Waypoint Analytics, and I'm here in our offices with Carrie Larrier. Hey, Carrie, thanks for joining us. Carrie is a specialist in training program development. She's been doing that for the better part of a decade. Carrie's a PhD candidate right now and has spent the bulk of the last 10 years developing training programs at all levels, from corporate to college and university level and on down. Carrie also is developing some training programs for Waypoint right now. We're putting together, we're taking a page from our own book, and we're developing training programs for our clients so that they can improve their skills in their businesses, and we can help the incoming generation get some of the necessary business skills to be very successful in wholesale distribution. So Carrie, as we've been going through the process of developing our own training programs, and I've been learning a great deal about how this is done. And frankly, a lot of it is quite an eye-opener. And I've done a lot of training programs in the past, but I frankly have never had the opportunity to do it with somebody that knows what you know or has the methodologies that you have.
Thank you.
And one of the first things that I found very impressive is, you know, when I'm all anxious to get going, you're saying, wait a minute, the first thing you have to do is work out the why of the program. And at first I was a little bit mystified by that, but you gave me a great explanation of why that's important and what it is you're actually supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's one of my jobs as a consultant in education development. And it doesn't make me real popular in this process, but I think that you found, as many clients do, that by slowing down and really litmus testing your assumptions and your ideas for what's needed, we got deeper and deeper into the true purpose and needs for this particular market of people that we're trying to reach.
One of the things I found very compelling as we went through this process is that you were asking, well, why is it that we want to do the training in the first place? What is it we're trying to accomplish? And it was interesting to find out why that is so crucial at the beginning of the program.
Right. So one of the things that I shared with you is that if we don't really nail down and have total clarity on the purpose, why you're doing this training, why it's important to you and to Waypoint, and also multi-layered, why it's important to this audience for what they will learn and what they will be able to do differently, then we can spend the next couple of months developing a very flashy, sexy training that never reaches the heart of what we're trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And we've wasted time, we've wasted resources, and we've wasted your customers' time and resources because they have to eventually attend this event, and we haven't accomplished what we were looking for.
Good point.
So I really hammer in on the purpose and the whys of developing any training. And that's critical because there's a lot of money and a lot of energy that goes into a training, and it's hugely disappointing when we're off the mark. Hugely disappointing for everyone involved.
Now, one of the things that was really compelling for me in the why part of it is when you are trying to understand what it is going to do for your business. You know, is it going to increase your revenue? Is it going to increase your growth? Is it going to cut costs? Those kinds of elements are really a crucial part of the planning process because it helps limit the resources that you might put in.
It does, and you know, within organizations, the training group that's tasked with building something, if they're off the mark, they always are at risk of getting their funding cut. So it's really critical that from the start, we know how this training, how this project meets or maps to the vision and purpose of the organization itself, because that really helps us continue to realign and constantly stay on point, and we avoid putting more into a training program that's not necessary or that's not on point, and you know, that helps us get the job done and get it done well.
Yeah, and as a company president, that was quite compelling for me. Like, I really liked the idea that when we assess, you know, we think we can save this much and or we can do this thing, it gave me some idea of what kind of investment I'd want to make.
Exactly.
And then it's very easy, I think, in the planning process to have more of a dividing line between the things that are on point and the things that are not, and that would prevent the program from being bloated and unfocused when
That's right.
you know, people are putting everything but the kitchen sink in. Rather, in the old model, in the new model, they say, well, this isn't relevant to the mission or what the endpoint we're trying to achieve is.
Right, and it gives us a way to bring in a lot of stakeholders, get a lot of contribution, a lot of vested interest in a project and a training without over bloating it. And that's typically the challenge with any learning program, is that we end up with way more content than we can effectively deliver and get results from.
So as an example, the process would then be, we'd sit down, you'd say, we think that we can improve customer loyalty, reduce attrition, and it'll translate into a net, you know, some kind of quantifiable or good guess at what the value of the training program, if it's successful, would be. And that really helps us refine what the budget would be. And then knowing that you know, we're trying to fight attrition, let's say that's what it is, we're trying to build customer loyalty and prevent churn in the account base, then we can start saying, okay, for each element of the program, is that something that's going to address the churn and the customer loyalty and the attrition issue, or not?
That's right.
Okay, so that helps refine it into concrete terms and gives a great map for developing a training program or having a training regime that's going to hit the mark.
Right, and everyone's accountable to that.
Yeah,
right?
And that's good. And and I like the accountability as well, because it means if we're successful in doing that, then we can do more things like it.
Exactly. And I think that there is occasionally a fear that we only have this one shot to build a training program, and so it has to have everything in it. And that usually ends up with the training never going live, right? Because because
it's never ready.
Yeah, you handicap the process. Yeah, it's never ready. It's never good enough.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, and I certainly have witnessed that across the course of my career. So I think that was a really good point, making sure that you understand how to, before you even get going with the training program, how to put some limitations, some goals around it, how to think it through, how to get to a budget and to an objective for the plan or for the training program. And I think that in itself is very valuable. So I want to thank you for sharing that with us today.
Sure.
And I want to thank you for spending time with us on these videos. We're going to be doing more of the videos with Carrie, and there's much more really interesting things for you to see. So I hope you'll come back and see the other videos from Carrie and others.